Today I teach myself a lesson. You cannot make a piece of wood do what it cannot do. Stick around and watch this piece of wood lead me on the right path. Almost a year ago we had our Siberian elm tree trimmed heavily on the top, and I have a lot of wood from it. This has got a really interesting shape here, and it also has very thick bark on it. And I know from experience that these are fast growing burls, and the whole trunk is covered with these. I've drilled a flat spot here, and I'm not sure if you can see, but there are burls right here. So I want this to be the top, and hopefully there's some that will remain up on the top of this, and I don't plan on leaving any of that bark. It's on the worm screw now. I've knocked some of the pieces of bark off. They're really soft, so I think they'll probably come flying off as soon as I start cutting on it. Getting about 500 RPMs. I have a 5/8 swept back bowl gouge. See if we can find some burls in here. So this is what it looks like underneath that soft bark. This is just covered with burls. The trouble is I have this huge inclusion here, and I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but I would sure like to be able to leave that profile on there. And this needs to go here, so we're going to lose a lot of diameter, and I hope we keep those. Okay, I'm going to move you back, see if we can get a few more RPMs. 650. Yeah, it's a little disappointing here. I might not have anything left. Well, let's just keep cutting this down and get rid of that and see what we end up with. Well, there's hope. I have some solid wood there. I still think we can make something out of this. I'm going to go back to a conventional grind 5/8 and see what we can do right here. Maybe try to clean that up a little bit more. I know that's going to fall off, but I've got hopes, and actually I might cut that off because I want to put a hollow in there. Okay, I'm going to mark for a tenon here. That bark just fell off. So we'll just clean that up and see if we want to take it all away or maybe leave some of it. There's definitely a branch or something there, and it's really hard cutting, so I'll get my diamond point tool. I need to make a square on here anyway. That actually cuts a lot better than the gouge was. Now we need to do some more shaping. It's a pretty nasty crack, and this wood still is a little bit green, even though it's almost been down for a year. Let me get some CA glue down into here and hope that we can salvage it, because this is really getting to be a pretty piece. See if I can sand it a little bit, and then we'll get it flipped around. I plan on starting with 80 grit, and I'll sand it up to 400, and we'll get it flipped around and see what we can do about getting that hauled out. It just has all that bark on there, and this is liable to get shorter because I don't think there's a lot of wood, and I am running the lathe in reverse. I flipped it around into the chuck, and now I'm just going to start with drilling some holes in here. And looking at this bark, I really don't know yet how much wood is behind it. We'll start about 400 RPM, see how that cuts. Start out with a 3/8 bowl gouge. Well, there's wood here, and there's burls in that wood. But I think I'm going to put my steady rest on here somewhere. So let's keep searching for how far that wood goes, and we'll know how much to cut off. Go ahead and use this hollowing tool. Well, time to try my homemade gooseneck again. Okay, I'll make sure my set screws in here, tighten it up, and then we'll turn with the lathe going backwards because I can see a lot better. I went ahead and finished the hollowing and didn't show you that because I was kind of in the way most of the time. But I got it between 3/8 and a ½ inch, and I haven't sanded it. I'm not sure if I will. If I do, you won't be able to see anything for that either, so I probably won't show you the sanding part inside of here. But I want to show you what I did to this soft bark, so I'll move the camera so you can see that. Well, I'm ready to put some finish on it, but I want to point out a couple things before I do. I wanted to use the steady rest here to hollow it, and it was real bumpy sounding, and it was because of the stringy area underneath the bark. So I saturated that with CA glue, sanded it, and put the steady rest on, and it ran actually pretty quiet for a while. And then other areas started hitting it. It didn't knock it out of alignment, so the piece still ran quite well. When I finished, I liked that area so much, I wanted to toughen it up, but I didn't want to use CA glue. So I actually went out and bought some of this wood hardener by Varathane. I figured it would be worth a try, and it was. I probably soaked it in 3 times and let it sit all night. I actually was able to sand these areas up. Here they're pretty hard feeling, and I'm pretty happy with that. And I took my wire brush and went over those areas. This is so coarse I didn't want to use the Sandiflex on it. Let me get a glove on and we'll put some finish on it and see what it looks like. I think it's going to be pretty nice. This elm has a real nice contrast to it. So I'll just rub this on like that. I'm curious to see how the bark will look. So I'll use the little acid brush here and just paint it on. It's dark and rich looking. It shows the lines, so I'm very happy with that. I really like the streaks in it here. So I will get a few coats of sanding sealer on it, and this is shellac based. I'll get a couple coats of shellac on it, and we'll come back and remove the tenon. I think this is really going to be pretty. Okay, it's time to remove the tenon. I went out in our trimming pile and I grabbed a branch and had to turn it down just a little bit to get it in. That's the remaining bark. It's soaking wet, but it's going to work for what I'm doing. Put a piece of this padded material on. See how it runs. It's out a little bit, but I think it will work. Alright, I'm going to start out with this 1/2 inch gouge with a 40/40 grind on it. And we'll remove most of the material. Alright, I will try to remove this the way Phil does. got it slowed down about 240 now. And as Phil says, pressing against the base with your other hand on the stop button, you should be able to cut this off. Okay, I'll get this sanded up and we'll be all done after I put some finish on. So it's done. The turning that knew better than me. I had a shape in mind and I was a bit bummed out when I wasn't going to be able to get it. Then always wanting to get something out of the piece, I just kept going. And the shape was always there. I just had to cut away until I got to it. And it was that bark inclusion that I was hoping it was going to be full and I was going to have this more of a football shape on it, but I was certainly wrong on what this should look like. I think it's really pretty. I've got the brown wood in here that I really love and how it blends with the lighter color in the bark. This bark stayed on pretty nice and finished nice. It's definitely rough feeling and it is really rough bark. There's a place the bark fell off right there. And I've got all these little features in there. I don't know if that's part of the burling, but here is the burl that's usually under the bark of this elm. It's kind of unique. And I was able to sand down inside and I got some finish on it. I won't say it was the best sanding job, but I think it looks okay. Just goes to show you, the wood knows best. Finished 6.5 inches tall. It's 5 inches in diameter here and at the top, and the base is 3 3/4. I finished it with Zinsser Seal Coat and Zinsser Shellac, 2 coats of each. I'm really happy with the results. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please consider doing so. And for those of you who are, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Leave a comment. I read them all. And if you can share this video, it really helps the channel grow and inspires me to make even more videos. I do natural turnings from logs and segmented turnings. I enjoy doing both. Thanks again, and until the next time, see you later.